Hello class, this is lesson 10-5 in your textbook titled Other Angle Relationships in Circles. We've been talking a lot about the different angles and chords and secants and tangents. And so the first theorem today is Theorem 10.11, and it states if a tangent, so I have my tangent right here, and a chord intersect on a circle, so right here they're intersecting at point A, then the measure of each angle formed, so this is an angle, angle 1, and also angle 2. So the measure of each angle formed is 1/2 the measure of its intercepted arc. So this means that the measure of angle 1 is going to be 1/2 the measure of its intercepted arc. In this case, the intercepted arc is AB. And the same goes for the measure of angle 2. It's going to be 1/2 the measure of its intercepted arc, which is BC all the way down to A. So let's write that down. BCA. Okay, so that's our first theorem. Our second theorem is Theorem 10.2, or 10.12, I'm sorry. And it says if two chords, so now this time I have two chords. Remember, a chord goes all the way across a circle. If they intersect inside a circle, that's really important, then the measure of each angle is 1/2 the sum of the measures of the arcs intercepted by the angle and its vertical angle. So let's break that down, okay? If I was looking at angle 1 right here, then what it's saying is the measure of angle 1 is 1/2 the sum of both of the arcs DC and AB. So the arc that is intercepted by the angle and the arc across from the vertical angle. So it would be the measure of DC plus the measure of AB. Okay. And if I was going to look at angle 2, the measure of angle 2 would be 1/2 the sum of the measure of BC plus the measure of AD, that arc. Okay. So now let's move on to our last theorem for today. It's Theorem 10.13. And there's a whole lot going on. Let me cover that up for a moment. Theorem 10.13 says if a tangent and a secant, or two tangents, or two secants intersect outside a circle, so up here they were intersecting inside, now it's outside, then the measure of the angle formed is 1/2 the difference, so not the sum, but the difference of the measures of the intercepted arcs. So let me show you the three different possibilities that you might have. So the first one is a secant and a tangent. The second one is two tangents. And the third one is two secants going straight through the circle. So looking at our first diagram, the measure of angle 1, okay, is going to be starting with 1/2 the difference of the two intercepted arcs. So it's going to be the measure of BC, the bigger arc, minus the measure of the inner one, which is AC. Okay, so 1/2 the difference of BC minus AC. The same goes for angle 2 right here. It's going to be 1/2 the measure of that bigger arc, PQ all the way to R, minus the measure of that inner arc, which is just PR. Oops, wrong pen. And for angle 3, this is where I have two secants. So the measure of this small angle right here, angle 3, is again 1/2 the difference of that bigger arc, which is x to y, minus the measure of the smaller inner one, which is wz. Okay, and that's it for our theorems today. So let me just show you a couple examples, and then we'll be done. Move this down. So here's our first one. I just want you to find x. So if we remember, we can find x by taking 1/2 the sum of the two arcs. So 89 and 63, let's add those together. So when I add those, I get 152. And then I take half of that, and I'm going to get 76. So here we find that x equals 76 degrees. Okay. All right, here's our next example. So this time I have a tangent and I have a secant. Okay. So when that takes place, remember when it's on the outside, then we're going to take 1/2 of the difference. So this time x is going to equal 1/2 the difference of those two arcs, so 78 minus 42. And that is 36. And half of 36 is 18 degrees. So this time the angle is 18 degrees. So I have one problem for you to do on your own. I want you to find x. This time you're given the angle, you're given the degree of the smaller arc, but not the degree of the larger arc. So again, use the same formula to find the measure of this longer arc. And that's it for today's lesson. So I'll see you in class.